je m'appelle Jean, avec mon compagnon, c'est Dylan.
Allô, le chien dans la bibliothèque ce soir.
What are you doing in the bibliothèque?
The dog is in the library, and then whatever ce soir means. This week, or this Patreon week, we're doing Jacques Rougeau. He won the fucking poll, so you asked for this. The Mountie.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love the Mountie, and let me tell you why I love the Mountie. Because he is considered a huge independent wrestling success story, unless you've lived in Montreal in the 2000s like me and know that he was just a guy who's either a friend or someone he knows had a used car lot, and he'd set a ring up, and he would hold wrestling matches there Saturday morning if you want to hang out.
Yeah, well, that's the end point of this. Is you better save whatever money you make because that money stops.
I disagree.
Stops.
That man is just because here's what no one acknowledges about the French Canadian community in Canada is that they are just hustlers. They just are like, why would I stop working when you stupid idiots will buy ice because you all have cottages in my province and haven't figured out you could just freeze ice in your freezers? So I'm going to sell you ice by a gas station. I have $11 million. Like, that's what Quebec is like. So I guarantee, because any shoot interview you see that's filmed with Jacques Rougeau at certain times of the year, he's just sat in a fucking, like, tropical paradise. Like, he's in a Puebla. Like, it's so...
Well, his family, of course, came up with International Wrestling Federation. I should really have memorized the name of that. But International Wrestling? Anyway... Hey, first of all, great name for a company. Second of all,
not international. Not international.
80s, exactly, but they said it. They said it was.
But yeah, but also because they were so big in the 80s in a place. Because here's the thing with Quebec in Canada is Quebec so supports anything that is Quebec because they're just like, fuck you, we don't want to be part of Canada. So anything that's theirs, they will support to the point that didn't Jacques Rougeau beat Hulk Hogan in the Bell Center in like 1998?
No, was it 98 or was it? It was recent though.
No, it was it was like NWO Hogan. Like it was the height of that doesn't work for me, brother. And then it was like qu'est-ce que c'est?
Oh yeah, like the famous Carl Ouellet versus Diesel.
Oh, yes. Which, by the way, when you now research more about what the Quebec territory is like, you're like, yeah, Carl Ouellet actually had a point and Diesel's a dick. Because his point was like, I think we should go disqualification. We're running this town again in like 6 weeks. And Diesel was like, no, I beat you 1, 2, 3. And then he's like, okay. And then he beat him 1, 2, 3. And then they like didn't, like the thing is like, then there was no reason to come back 6 weeks later. And then it like bombed. But like the way Kevin Nash tells the story is like I was getting my dick sucked while helping a bunch of kids learn to read, and then this guy, Carl Ouellet, he came over and he's a full pedophile. You guys didn't know that about him. And he was taking a shit out of his mouth, and then he was like, "I gotta beat you," and I was like, "What? You're not even from Quebec?" And he's like, "That's true. I'm from Pirate Island." But that's how it's got to work.
Detroit's better than French. So
let me say this right now about anyone who is from Detroit and gets into the wrestling industry thinks they are very good at business and they are just someone who wears a sleeveless t-shirt.
I mean, Detroit's got some pretty sick. Here's 2 people off the top of my head. Sabu, Kevin Nash. That's dope.
Sabu, Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff. Also, I forgot Sabu. Sabu really goes, and Rob Van Dam. But like Detroit has a bit of the Ottawa, Ontario about it, which is like people come from this town. They're all real weird. They're weirdos.
I love Kevin Nash where he's like, did you see his New Year's post where he's like, didn't rip it up in the gym, not a bitch, smoked weed, drank wine, here's to you. I'm like, man, Kevin Nash, I understand why I liked you so much. Because we're going to be talking about Conan tomorrow, or recording it tomorrow, and it's like Kevin Nash for sure fucked Conan over. But I don't think he did. Cool.
We are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that tomorrow because I do not think he did. You're wrong.
As kids, when we said he was Big Daddy cool, we were right. He is cool.
History
bore that out as like this guy smokes weed.
He drinks wine.
To fucking hip hop. That's cool. And in the middle 90s, that made you, because of people like Jacques Rougeau, people who were this violently white, it made you like. Kevin Nash was the closest thing they would let to a black guy on WCW for years.
Yeah. And by the way, Virgil was just hidden from Turner Broadcasting executives. They were like,
it was it.
"Hey, we heard
Virgil.
we heard there was a black guy on Monday Nitro," and they're like, "No."
No,
They're
that's
like,
Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, that was Dusty Rhodes, and they were like, "Are you sure? We heard you hired Virgil and call him Vincent just to trick us because that's a white man's name, Vincent." I'm Ted Turner, by the way. You can't tell because of my accent because John Hastings, sound a lot like Ted Turner, but this is actually a spot-on Ted Turner impression.
No,
I'm
accent,
Ted Turner and accent. Yeah, this is a perfect Georgia accent for Ted Turner. Jane Fonda's pussy's on my breath. I'm Ted Turner.
Here's my favorite thing about Jacques Rougeau, though. He was kind of like, so there's certain people where like they take advantage of a boom in wrestling, and Jacques Rougeau's career definitely bears that out because he is a very good wrestler, and even Jim Cornette says he's a very good worker, but also clearly annoying
as fuck.
No one wants
annoying
to
as
give him any
fuck.
money. And the thing is, when Raymond, who I guess started wrestling in 1971, when Raymond retired, then it was like, oh, you just have to deal with Jock now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a tag team that's like that, where it's like, oh man, if it was just
I can give
that
you a
one
bunch
guy,
of examples.
Go for it.
The Rockers, Sean retires, Marty's doing a run with Brett.
I mean, not talent-wise, because clearly it's like the Rougeau brothers are a perfect tag team. Continue.
I would say a more perfect sort of correlation would be the Uzos. If one of the Usos retired, and it would be like, what? No, and there's two of them. No one wants Jimmy. Fuck you. Get the
Jay is the drunk driver.
I don't even know which one is like
Jimmy. I think Jimmy or Jay. I forget. I think it was Jay Uso had like 4 DUIs in a calendar year, and WWE was still like, yeah, man, fucking shut up.
Yeah, he's letting everyone know he's not a bitch.
He's not drunk above the influence. He's under it, buddy. So he had his.
Yeah.
This is what he is.
Yeah. I got news for you. This is Vince McMahon speaking to the district attorney after Jimmy Uso
cowgirling that influence. So
yeah, of course he reversed cowgirl that
missionarying fucking.
Let me ask you a question, DA. Do you want someone working at a company you own who just doesn't have 8 beers?
Yeah.
I want my employees to be drunk.
Starts pointing at people. This guy, you telling me this guy's sober? What a fucking puss.
Yeah, you see this? You see this woman?
See
I bet you she drinks wine in the morning just so when her husband fucks her. I've lost that metaphor, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And he's also standing on the table, and he has a microphone with a belt.
and he's full shirt cocking it, like suit, full suit at the top, no trousers underneath,
he took his
garter
pants down to shit. Has ADD, so he forgot that was his plan. Now he's standing on the table.
Yeah. By the way, he took that shit 2 days ago. He has been living his life.
He's been living just pants off.
It's been something that's been happening. They've been trying to keep quiet since the steroid trial, that every once in a while Vince McMahon will take a full shit, forget to put his trousers back on, and spend the rest of the day shirt cocking it in offices and meetings. And he'll gesture with his penis. I got a new hand, third hand.
I would believe that, man. He looks like a fucking ghoul now. Like, he looks crazy now.
Well, it's sort of like he was like, you know what? This is what it felt like in 2013. He looked in the mirror and he went, if I'm not careful, people might respect me just because I've gotten very old. I really need to start getting some very intense facial lift surgery. And I need to do whatever the stupid version of the Succession is.
Dude, like it's crazy how bad those facelifts are. He has so much money, and he's like, I bet I can get a better deal than that, and he goes on Groupon and gets.
I guarantee he made Kevin Dunn do it. I guarantee he was just like, it's called loyalty.
Write it off.
KD, it's called loyalty. KD. For some reason, he calls him KD.
I like KD. No, that's a good. That's a perfect corporate guy nickname because it's so broy enough, but also just shows zero creativity.
And also shows
I know nothing about this.
Nothing about. I know the 2 letters that begin 2 of his names. That's by the way, I wish I didn't know that.
You should. Anyway, sorry, I was turning my phone off because this is a professional podcast.
My phone is very much on because I'm waiting for a mattress to be delivered. Let me
Ooh.
tell you who else loves mattresses. That's Raymond Rougeau, because he likes sleeping. Because he listen, Raymond Rougeau, an absolutely amazing worker, but so either a guy that would only work in the territory era or now as an independent. Like he really timed his career perfectly. Like he got the fuck out. So he's in the fabulous Rougeau brothers with his brother Raymond. They're in the
Oh, no, first of all,
WWE. Are we going to talk about the territory time?
Yeah,
It
well,
was-
I mean, obviously,
right.
it's like in 9 years of his career, he's obviously in Montreal doing well, and since he's his father's kid, he pretty quickly rises up the ranks of that territory, and starts pissing people off really quickly. A story I like that Jim Cornette told was like, I guess he was supposed to job one night, and then he in the car with Jerry Lawler was like, "What? You're afraid I'll get over? You afraid I'll be a bigger babyface than you?" And then everyone was so mad. And you understand that's
This
just
is
like
why
a
I love
light
him.
little joke. You have
I
to
love
already
him
not
so
like
much.
someone.
I
for
love
that
him
joke.
so much.
Yeah.
This guy is the most met this wrestler version of comedian where he is actually saying something super innocuous in his head, but he's done 40 super annoying things already that you're just like, oh, fuck you.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, exactly. Like, you already have to not like someone for that to be a trigger.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
he
I'm
probably made them
picturing-
stop to pee, and then he was like, "Oh, I didn't have to pee. I just wanted to see if you'd stop."
Yeah. I guarantee he was like, they pulled into a rest stop or a place to get some food, and he's like, nah, I don't like the vibe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
were like,
He went
"Oh."
down, and he's like, "Oh, can I have Do you have a relish for those fries?" Like, "Oh, sorry, we don't
Yeah.
have relish." He's like, "I guess I'm not eating here then."
Yeah. And we'll just stop somewhere else after. I just want to get a fruit cup.
It's okay, guys. I just think you should have relish. Looks
Yeah,
right at-
like I
You
just
just
want to
should.
I want relish, and I'd like a fruit cup. Does this McDonald's have a fruit cup? He's one of those people that just. There's no way this restaurant has that weird item. I remember someone once asked for salmon in a Subway, and I was just like, "What? What dimension are you from? You're
That's
not
very
from this world. You're not from this world." It was in Leicester. It was my nightmare.
Have you ever actually met someone like this?
Yes.
I'd like a Pepsi. Is Coke fine? No.
No. I have met someone
Have you
like
met
that.
someone like that? I met
Yes.
one person like that, and now he's a pickup artist, and he quit that, and now he's an anti-vaxxer who organizes.
Oh, yes, he is. Was he also formerly a stand-up comedian?
Yes, he's widely known as the worst Canadian comedian to ever be in the United Kingdom, Alex Lazaro. What was it?
Oh,
was that
he-
Mike Monera guy? He ran some
Yeah.
comedy club. Anyway, he immediately earned my respect because he was like, "Do you remember Alex Lazaroff?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "He's the worst fucking comedian I've ever seen." And I was like, "Thank you for reading me well enough where I only want to talk about negative things. Let's talk about Alex. Turn the lights
Speaking
off.
of-
Cancel the show. I've got an hour free."
Speaking of negative things, talking about Mike Monera, there's a guy who just
Oh yeah, he
Stole-
just left with money.
stole a bunch of money. Just a big-time stealer of money. Hey, Mike Monera, if you hear this, it's weird that you subscribe to the
Have you
Wrestler
joined our
Patreon.
Patreon? Thanks for trying to give the money back in the weirdest way possible.
Yeah, thank you for giving me my money back slowly over weeks. And by me, I mean I actually got paid the entire time because I do the one thing that no UK comedian is willing to do. Ask to the point of being violently irritating.
100% show up at their house. Fucking show up at their house and be like, "Oh, sweet, I know where this is." Just walk.
There's a
walk
comedy
there.
chain in the UK called Junglers that wasn't paying people for years, and I didn't realize how threatening this sounded when I sent the email, "Hey, what do I need to do to get this money? I'll come to your house if I have to." And I thought I was just
They
being
didn't know
polite to
you?
pick up
Yeah,
pick
they
up the
didn't know
check.
you, and
I
you're
didn't
like, oh.
didn't realize I was just threatening to come to their house and attack them.
Send a fucking message to this shit, buddy. I have a mustache and arms.
Yeah, and a
I'll
hoodie.
take it by strength, or I'll find out your weakness. That's what the mustache means.
That's right.
I know your internet search history. Send email. So Jacques Rougeau and Raymond Rougeau come in as the fabulous Rougeaus in
Yeah, they-
1986, and
They
started-
are very much used to being the cocks of the walks up in Montreal. You know what I mean?
well. They were
And then they
given the
Go ahead.
advantage of coming in as a babyface, and you knew what the problem was with that, John.
are French Canadians and they're
They're
wrestling
French.
in America.
That's 3 strikes.
Yeah,
Because that was the funny thing that Cornette always talks about, where Jacques was like, "Actually, I'm a great baby face," and they'd be like, "All right," and then he'd just be like, "Hello, everybody," and they'd be like, Fuck
Kill
you.
him!
Fuck
Kill him!
Find the Eiffel Tower, tear it fucking down. I hate this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like people are literally ripping out their own rib cages to throw at the ring to hurt him. Like they're just like, no, no. What's amazing about America's hatred of the French? It's literally because their voices are weird. Because America would not exist as a country without France. That's the funniest thing about the whole thing. Is like French people should be the great baby face to America because France is the reason why they won that revolution. But America being America was like, no, it was us. There were 10 of us and we didn't have any boats and we're fucking cool.
Well,
got
France
big
is one of the
dicks.
only places in the world also that will be like, France and Quebec is honestly like this, where it's like, you come in, you be like, what up, Huss? Can I get a sandwich? And they'll be like, I speak a different language. Why don't you learn it? And you're like, fuck you, fucking bitch. Bend
Yeah.
to me. I'm me. You're less than. You learn me.
Also, I do like that France and Quebec are also one of the few places that they don't do the thing of like everywhere else will be like, well, he's the Finnish Jerry Seinfeld. And in France and Quebec, it's like, oh, Maurice Lapinto. Yeah, he'd be like, you're Jerry Seinfeld, I guess, but way better because he's not
way
that
better
guy.
because he like all talks about how Muslims are bad.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just what Dylan likes from stand-up comedy. Dylan has really changed in 22. I read Dylan's New Year's resolutions, and they are
revolutions.
Yeah, they are his revolutions. Guys, guess what? January 6th, 2022, in Dylan's mind, is way crazier than January 6th, 2021. First of all, Dylan's just going to be storming the pantry. That's right. He's off keto. He's on carbs. Dylan's new diet.
I'm going to try and eat every Pizza Hut buffet in a 24-hour period in North America. That's my
Yeah.
January 6th.
Dylan has challenged a doctor. He looked a doctor in the face, and the doctor was like, "No man has survived having diarrhea for 1 year." And Dylan looked at him and just kissed him on the mouth and just went, "Well, then, because you've never met a maverick, you little bitch."
Oh yeah, that's what the movie Maverick's about.
Yeah, it's about Dylan having diarrhea for a year.
It's about a guy eating at every combination Taco Bell and KFC in a city, and then trying to live the rest of the year without getting a weird illness that they're like, we don't have a name for it. I guess it would just be called dying in 20 minutes is the best way I can describe this, because your insides are liquid.
Speaking of insides being liquid, the Rougeau brothers are in the WWF at the time. It's at the golden age. I would call it the snowstorm. Everyone's on cocaine and steroids. Terry Funk's just leaving in the middle of the night. They're on the road for 320. Yeah, the entire tag team division is Stampede Wrestling. And the only rule to being a tag team in the WWF at that time is you better treat anyone who isn't a straight white male with inherent disrespect.
Oh,
What's that? Is that a dog? Give it steroids. Is that a woman sleeping in her own house? Burn it down. Welcome to... Oh, it's so terrifying. The tag team division at this time must have been a bunch of monsters, and then the Rougeau brothers and Bret Hart just being like, do you want to go get some tea? Yeah, probably.
I don't think so. I think it's Raymond Rougeau being like, isn't it nice to go out for a walk? Sometimes I go out for a walk and I feel so fulfilled. And then Jacques Rougeau looking at what someone's eating at catering and going, do you really need to eat that?
Hello, I wanted to let you know that I've actually made that at home and I do it better than they do it here. Just so you know. While you're eating that, it could be better.
This is why I love Jacques Rougeau, is because he's totally the guy who's like, how much did you pay for that microphone? And you're like,
of course.
Yeah. $80. I got the same one for 50.
Of course.
And then he just leaves without you able to continue the conversation. I got the same one for 50. So
it's also, you have to understand,
I guess if you spent your money like a fucking idiot, I don't know.
Culturally speaking, he's also a Montrealer, and Montreal is like Austin kind of used to be before Joe Rogan and Elon Musk went there and made it fucking lame.
Cool.
Is they create it's someone described it as it's a velvet rut. Is that like it's this place where you can be like you need so much less to survive because it's so economically depressed because of all of the different near separations Quebec has gone through, but also there's a shitload of industries that have sprung up there, so you can actually make really good a living, but your cost of living is so low, so everyone has this weird sense of like, yeah, like you are allowed to just not go to work on Wednesday when you want to play the banjo. Like what are you fucking talking about? Fuck you.
I think you said that one time where it's like you blink. It's like I joined a jazz band when I'm 21. You blink and you're 39. Same jazz band.
Yeah, and which
doesn't sound bad.
You're also really shocked your jazz band isn't huge. Like the amount of
My boys come every week.
Yeah, the amount of conversations I had living in Montreal, which revolved around if only we could just get the industry to move to Montreal, that would
That'd
be
be dope.
sweet.
But they
And
did
that was
for a while, bro. Arcade Fire. Oh my god.
yeah, that was one
That
time.
must have
Also,
been crazy vindicating for just like guys sleeping on silk sheets till noon and then they get discovered. It's like, wow, they're
I'll tell
really
you-
at everything.
I'll tell you who really didn't see Fire coming, which was this guy who saw them at a party one time and went, "This band fucking sucks so many different types of shit."
Yeah, but then you press play on a CD player is like, check this mixtape out. I got Judas and Priest on it.
Goddamn
The
right.
Rujos are part of a tag team division that obviously has the Bulldogs in it, Heart Foundation. Are the Killer Bees in there when they start in? And they're a great tag team because it's
yes,
like
they are. Yes, no, you know what I was just thinking about this. If the Killer Bees are there, that means that the Fabulous Rougeaus came in when the tag team division was at its height of gooback scumbaggery. That means they had a man who lost a fight to his son and two guys who gave a dog steroids. Literally, that all sounds like things that a Will Ferrell character describes his dad as. Instead, they are all human beings that existed in the 80s. Plus, you have Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Here's the thing that I wanted to talk about is, like, in the end, when they tell the story of the Fabulous Rougeaus beating the shit out of the Dynamite Kid, it is told with a little, like, Rougeaus broke the rules, where it's like, this guy was a vicious, sadistic bully, and they were like, and obviously, Jacques Rougeau has been bullied a lot because he's annoying as fuck. And so he just knows, like, all right, oh, we're gonna do this, let's do it. And he does the thing that always will fuck over any bully, which is just like overt intense violence. Done. Bye
Okay, yes. So what you're referring to obviously is the incident where Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig does a prank on Jacques Rougeau. Jacques Rougeau thinks it's Dynamite Kid, so he goes attacks Dynamite Kid. Dynamite gets the better of the confrontation, which is whatever, obviously. If you're in a confrontation, someone wins, someone loses. But the worst thing is Dynamite Kid then rubs it in his face. Jock gets brass knuckles, sucker punches Dynamite Kid, explodes his face. Raymond Rougeau is there making sure no one interferes because Raymond Rougeau will fuck you up. And breaks Dynamite Kid's face. This, of course, is the latter part of Dynamite Kid, where he's horribly injured but still doing steroids, 2 cycles per 1 cycle.
Whoa. You're talking about the period of time when Dynamite Kid was a man. That's what a man does.
Exactly. Sorry.
Dylan, we had to take a little break in the recording of this episode because the city of Los Angeles forced me to get a mattress because for the last 4 months slept on the concrete of my apartment.
Okay, which I don't like.
I demand it. It keeps my back straight.
Ooh, like
keeps my
Roddy
sexuality.
Piper preparing for Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god! And by the way, I had to reset up my apartment after bed bugs last night, so it took me 5.5 hours. And I, for some reason, have just gotten way into WCW pay-per-views. I watched them. I just put them on in the background. Let me tell you this: you want to lose your mind? Just watch only Fall Brawls.
You know what I never thought of till now? Roddy Piper went to Alcatraz with he's like, oh, only the worst criminals go here. And then when I was like, a young man, I thought murderers, right? But then odds are it's just Roddy Piper because what's worse than murder is probably pedophilia. So then it's just Roddy Piper and a bunch of
but here's the
pedophiles.
problem.
Like, they've been teaching me their tricks. And let me tell you this. I got a bunch of pictures of Brooke now, Hulk.
Hogan! Here's the problem though. Alcatraz was like shut down in the 50s. They weren't arresting pedophiles in the 50s. Like
they were giving them mayor.
Yeah, they were. You were still the priest, not to be a hack. But it's like, no, it wasn't until like if Alcatraz was open in the 80s, the joke works. But for historical purposes, your joke is flawed. Your joke is bad.
Okay, so
Dylan?
maybe it's just a bunch. So Alcatraz was maybe just full of a bunch of ethnic people that tried to get businesses.
Whoa! Stop reading from my journal.
You trying to start a fruit stand there, buddy?
Yeah.
Get to Alcatraz.
Exactly. Excuse me. What's your name? My name is Giuseppe. Well, that's not Irish, so get in jail.
Yeah, fucking Irish people suck me off. Take that. Raymond Rougeau, right? Very nice. the worker of the
Nice
group.
man.
Then
Lovely
Jacques Rougeau.
mustache.
Jacques Rougeau really, like Raymond was a really like happy guy who just rubs you the wrong way. Jacques Rougeau was just like anything that came out of that guy's mouth. I don't know how he was a babyface in Montreal. Maybe in Quebecois French, people are like, "Oh, I understand what this guy is going for. He's just can't help but be a dick." But he's so clearly such a fucking dick.
Yeah, he's just a bad human being. Like, he's just not a good guy.
No, but he's not. He's not a good guy. But like, so MJF right now is everyone who would say was like the greatest heel, but you can tell MJF's like a good guy in reality. But Jacques Rougeau just like cannot help being a piece of shit. Like Jacques Rougeau has that thing that like people would give for, but like since wrestling we all know it's fake. We want things to have a tinge of reality, and Jacques Rougeau has that tinge of reality where it's like he's not a bad person, he's just a fucking asshole. Like he's not like he's a guy who wouldn't like he obviously wouldn't tweet about how much he doesn't like Black Lives Matter, but he would show up to the protest with a lighting rig just to take a sweet selfie.
Yes, this is exactly it.
So he's like standing there, and then people are walking by, and someone's like, "Okay, we have good lighting, we can take a picture." And he's like, "No, she's too ugly. The other girl's attractive. She'll come by in 5 seconds. You take the picture then." Like he's that guy.
Like he's the kind of guy that would delay the BLM protest because we got nice light. We got nice light now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like he would be what Jacques Rougeau would have been is the guy
when
during.
Cop showed up, he's gone.
He would be my favorite part of the BLM protests were, and these people, by the way, I have their names are etched in my brain forever.
The influencers? I just watched a documentary on it. That's why I was on top of it. The influencers who showed up to the rallies just to get sick photos.
That was insane. But no, the people that I know that I consider friends who were messaging other people, especially other people of other ethnicities, were like, "You need to be more vocal right now." And there were a few people that where I was like, "Oh, you think you're helping? Stop! Like, just what are you doing?" That's Jacques Rougeau. Jacques Rougeau is, I think I'm helping. It's like I want. If someone said to Jacques Rougeau, "I want to move," he'd burn down their house. He'd be like, "There, so you move now." You know what I mean? Like he's like, the root of what he's doing is he's trying to help, but he doesn't know how to be helpful in a proper way.
I'd actually take it a different way. Jacques Rougeau is the type of guy who would, in one tweet, reference George Floyd, but only because he's mad that he can't promote the thing he worked on.
Yeah, that's very good.
He'd be like, I guess I can't promote my album, but the George Floyd thing is very.
Oh my God,
important.
he would be the lead. Jacques Rougeau.
He's perfect.
Is the best at humble brags ever.
How are you, exactly. Jacques? That's who he is.
You know, I'm very tired from having such a big penis.
The problem with me is I can only date so many women because it's too big.
Yeah, the problem with me, is I can only have so many different threesomes because my wife is so accepting of my lifestyle.
I go to yoga class because I know they're stretchy, so the pussy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I invented McDonald's, and I said, "No, you do it."
Have it. I want to be a wrestler in a parking lot.
Okay, so basically what happened is Raymond, I assume, retires so he doesn't have to spend so much time with his brother.
Raymond gets fucked up and retires.
Raymond gets fucked up. Jacques fucks off back to Quebec and just, I don't know, hangs out with,
No, Jacques takes a year off and comes back.
He comes back as?
The greatest character of all time. The Mountie.
He does not come back as Arn Anderson, the Enforcer, so not the greatest character of all time.
Oh, sorry.
Arn Anderson lives that fucking character. I got news for you. Yeah, of course the Enforcer is still wearing a very ill-fitting
everyone
cardigan.
Hates AEW, and there's this thing happening right now. We always timestamp these in weird ways by talking about AEW, but there's this thing happening right now where people can't accept that Cody Rhodes is Triple H Cena, where it's like, clearly, this is what I think, at least, which is this is what Neckbeard McWeird Tattoo thinks, is Weird Mustache, sorry, is that TNT's like, they clearly, the Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes probably went to TNT and were like, hey, we have to turn heel, everyone hates us, and then TNT is like, we're not having a guy who's our third judge on our America's Got Talent ripoff be a bad guy, so no, you're the TNT champion and you're a good guy, like that's how this has to work.
Yeah,
and then they just have to keep on pushing him as a good guy, even though everyone fucking hates him. And so now they're just making Arn Anderson do all his promos because you cannot boo Arn Anderson. Like no internet nerd, no matter what, is ever going to boo Arn Anderson.
Because Arn Anderson, if he hears you booing him, Who's that? Points up. 300 section, seat A. And he's doing this move a lot.
I was going to say he'd cut a 14-minute emotional promo about how much your boo hurts, and you'd be like, "I'm sorry."
No, he would gently put the mic down because he's respectful to the sound department, and he would slowly walk up, and he would do that very Canadian or like it has cold weather is this move. This is a cold weather fight move. As you walk up and go, and you refer to your opponent as gentleman. Hello, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we take this outside and have a discussion? And then you start giving weird facts about yourself for no reason in terms of intimidation. Like our names be like, before we get outside, I want to let you know I've been married for 37 years. Oh. Same house, same job for 20. I'm looking to taste blood, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's like basically Arn Anderson's vision of himself is the same as DMX's what the Covered in Blood cover. God damn it, that joke would have been so great if I could remember the name of that album.
Can't.
What is the name of that album, Dylan? Blood is my blood?
I forget.
God damn it.
Something like that. Fuck me, fuck. And while we're on the topic of AEW, how are we gonna get everyone theme songs? They can't fucking get Eddie Kingston some DMX. Anyway. But I mean it's probably a lot. Apparently they tried to get Final Countdown and then those guys were like $1 bajillion. And they were like, no. He's like, well, we don't want money. We don't want to make money. Anyway, John.
Hi.
The Rougeau brothers are no more. Raymond is backstage. Jacques is the Mountie.
And what
that he was ever in the Rougeaus, which is a great.
This is the best.
Where you can just put a guy in a different hat and be like, hey,
this is the best time
he's a dick as a postman now.
This was the best time for rebranding everyone because it was such a weird time in wrestling anyway, where you're like, wait, Hulk Hogan's not the champion, Brett is, and then like all these weird new characters. Like
the Mountie was 91, so Brett's not the champ yet.
No, but it's building towards Brett is. You know what I mean? Like all
Brett's
of the new characters.
IC champ. Clearly, people are falling in love with Brett's beautiful looks.
Like it's the beginning of the Berserker and Skinner and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, but he's literally got a Komodo dragon. Like this is like when people are like Vince McMahon's lost his mind, and it's like no, Vince McMahon hired some people that stopped him from controlling his own company, and he is back in power, baby.
This is what I like is that he's from Canada and he's pissed.
Yeah, I love it. It's the best use of a French Canadian ever because it's literally like, just say anything and they will hate you. And he's like, hello, I am your friend. And also he has a stick that's electrified.
And
he has a stick.
He has a stick that's electrified. And he's one of those great heels where it's like, what's his finishing move? Well, he cheats.
Yeah.
And obviously they stick Jimmy Hart with him because they're like, we have a heel. What's his gimmick?
Well, it's also
anyway,
it
doesn't matter. Just Jimmy
he
Hart.
was also the Rougeau brothers manager. Also, and this sounds crazy. Are you ready for this? This is my theory. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, we have to have someone who speaks not with an accent so the fans can understand the Mountie. I bet you that was. I would bet you that's what it is.
That could totally be it. There's some great early 90s vignettes where it's like a guy's feeding the ducks and he's like, no, that's littering. And he shows up on his horse, which is good.
Oh, my God. There was also an excellent one where someone goes, how do you know which way is Canada? How do you know, my horse always faces towards Canada. And he shows the horse's ass and goes, this one points towards America. What's even better is you can find Jacques Rougeau telling the story of that vignette online. And that's what you want to watch because that is a man who is so proud of remembering a joke someone else wrote for him. Like it is so clear that he did not come up with that, but he is very much. And then I did the thing. I made it so much better because I said it as opposed to the guy who wrote it down.
See, I just think that he should have, and hear me out here, he should have definitely wrestled with the horse. Like he never leaves the horse. The boss man has to kill a horse. I'd be fine with that.
Imagine how
die for the boss man.
Of course, because again, one of the big feuds of the Mountie was the Mountie has a stick that electrocutes you, and I know
he electrocuted the big boss man.
It is. He electrocuted the big boss man, which led to the jailhouse match, which meant that he has to spend a night in the precinct in New York. And my God, I hope you. I know what you're all thinking. Did they imply that he was about to be sodomized in the New York jail? Mm-hmm. They certainly did. Of course they did. Yes. Well, welcome to wrestling in the 90s. That man's behind a locked door. Well, strap in for some sodomy jokes, my friend.
The best thing about that is 98, of course you can make those jokes because the Attitude Era. But, hey, this is for children. Of course, we're gonna make some rape jokes though. Let's go.
Of course, yeah, it's of course, yeah. This is for children's programming. But when that man who's not from our country gets put in jail, we're going to imply that he's sexually assaulted by someone who is not of his sexual orientation.
Yes.
Of course we are. We're not monsters. We're a wrestling
We're
organization.
not morons. I realize that. We're back. Also, what does the Mountie is he involved in that you probably forgot about and I definitely forgot about?
For 8-man tag at WrestleMania 8.
No, it's big. I mean, I forgot about this for sure.
He won the Intercontinental title from Bret Hart. Yeah, of course.
He was the
that
transitional champion. But why does that matter? Like, why would they put it? He beats Bret Hart.
I thought about this. I can explain it. So they're building towards. They want to make. It's one of the last sort of WWF really relying on old school wrestling tactics, but it absolutely works so well. Is we need to get. We need to get Bret to beat someone super recognizable for this belt. He's already got the belt. Like he beat Kurt Hennig once. Who's someone else we can get that's like amazing? Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper, who like this is the only time I remember Roddy Piper getting pinned for fuck's sake.
Exactly. That's the other thing is Piper refused to be pinned by Hogan, and now he's doing the honors for Bret. But I will say this about the match, weirdly, is that I mean, you know, when we talked about Piper and Bret on other matches, that match is great. Jacques Rougeau versus Roddy Piper, not as good. I'll say that.
No, not as good at all. It's very fun. It's a fun match, but it's literally Roddy Piper just hits him with the electrifying stick a bunch of times. But without that match, then we do not get the greatest promo ever, which is Bret Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8. What a great time that is.
Yeah, so basically he becomes jobber to the stars. Rougeau loses to Bret in 30 seconds and quits the WWF shortly after there. That's in late 1992. He comes back pretty much immediately, July of 93, and
with the
Quebecers.
Oh, let me tell you, the Quebecers were put over like fucking Goldberg. Like no one talks about this, but this is how you make a fucking tag team. They show up and they beat the piss out of everybody and are just snide dicks. Oh, great stuff.
Same formula. Jock can talk. And you know what it was? You know what it was too? It's not even that he's a good promo. It's that like he has that like it's like Batista. It sounds weird, but it's like Batista or the Ultimate Warrior. There's just something about him. CM Punk even, where it's like there's something about him where it's like I just want to watch this guy. Whereas Batista with the Ultimate Warrior, it's like I want to watch this guy like kick somebody's ass, or Goldberg. It's like I just want to see this guy fucking get punched like in the face, and I can watch it. It's The Miz has this too, where it's like I could watch this guy lose every week for 52 weeks, and I'd still be like, I want to watch that 53rd week, you know?
I mean, ironically, Cody Rhodes has that face too. Cody, I've never understood from the beginning someone like Cody Rhodes being, because Cody Rhodes is like, you had a cocaine problem, and then your dad gave you a career. Like, oh, you're not a man of the people. You have feathers on your jacket, sir. Like, what are you doing?
But the reason why Cody Rhodes is able to do that is because wrestling fans are so smart right now, and they know. Oddly, I guess I mean, kind of trying to still make it about Jacques Rougeau, obviously, but like Jacques kind of like that, where it's like if people were as sick of WWF in 1985 as they are of WWE in 2020 or 19 when AEW, everyone was just happy that something else was on TV now. They're like,
yeah,
if anyone could have come up with that shit and they would have been happy. You remember, like, people are so sick of WWE. Number one enemy of the internet for like 15 years was Triple H, and then he's like, oh, NXT's now like a super indie, and we've fused our super indie ideas with the NWA. We're literally, if Triple H came out on NXT, he would be cheered like he was Jesus Christ, and if he came out on Raw, they would know like, oh, he's only here to like bury a new talent, so we hate him. It was such a like weird reaction.
I mean, what's going to be even weirder, which is in like 3 years or in like 3 to 7 months when Triple H debuts on AEW, that's going to be the wild scene.
That'd be so sick. The best feud they could possibly make would be Triple H versus Cody Rhodes, and I do think Triple H would be the babyface, just because people would be like so happy. Because Triple H, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, people like this, I can't even make this about Jacques Rougeau, but people like this are symbolic. Like obviously these people, AEW fan base, are gonna love.
I
CM
can actually
Punk.
make this. I can make this symbolic.
Sure,
Finish your
let's do
point.
it.
I can do it. Okay.
I
Jacques
was gonna say they're
Rougeau-
symbolic because like
Yeah.
it's not like the AEW fan base would like Triple H. It's just what Triple H means to AEW. It means they're now CM Punk and Bryan Danielson mean they're a fucking like a 1A company now. And like if fucking Ryback came, not Ryback, Braun Strowman. I'm trying to think of someone who internet fans are fucking so tired of. Bobby Lashley comes out, they're pumped. Like I don't know. Randy Orton.
Rougeau, what Rougeau is Rougeau is a very much just a guy whose job is to be a wrestler. No fan
Yeah.
outside of probably Quebec is like, you know who I'm excited to see at the match tonight? Jacques Rougeau. But he is very much a recognizable face because of the variety of different characters he did, and he is a very competent wrestler. What's truly amazing
he's
about
good.
this
He's just
man,
an 80s style wrestler who
he's
gets
an
his
80s
chance in the
he's
90s.
an 80s style wrestler who got his chance in the 90s, and he's annoying as fuck. Like I know we keep coming back to this, but it's a really important point because wrestling is like comedy. Wrestling is mostly just you're locked in a room with people and you have to exist. And if those people
Yeah,
suck,
that's true. You're going to see these guys so much. Even if someone you think like, oh, this guy, like you see comedians online with 100,000 Twitter followers or whatever, and then you perceive them, and then you see another comedian with 2,000 Twitter followers. They've met and they may have a weird relationship.
Yeah. And also, by the way, the 100,000 guy and the 2,000 guy, it's no indication of who's the better comedian, who's the not annoying guy. But there's a lot of times one is one and one is the other, and they have a fascinating relationship.
Yeah, they'll do the same gigs, and one guy's like, oh, sweet, and the other guy's like, I have 100,000 Twitter followers. How am I doing this gig? So, the Quebecers feud with Steiners, Men on a Mission. This is also a pretty good tag team division, obviously. Men on a Mission, the Head Shrinkers, Marty Jannetty, the 1-2-3 Kid, who are a fucking awesome tag team for the short time they were around. But this is the thing that I like about the 90s versus I do not like about wrestling now, where it's like we use The Miz. I use The Miz as a comparison point for a guy who gets natural heat like Jacques Rougeau does. The Miz would have been 9 different characters by now. But like Jacques Rougeau would have just been Jacques Rougeau for 10 years. But instead he gets these refreshes where he's like, he's a Rougeau brother. Now he's the Mountie. Now he's back to being Jacques Rougeau as part of the Quebecers. But like you give them different gear, completely different theme song, whatever, rather than The Miz where it's like, he's The Miz and he's been The Miz since like we took his balls after he was in that WrestleMania main event. Like that WrestleMania main event was like, I believe 10 years ago where people were like, oh, fuck, The Miz is really good. The Miz has been a really good wrestler for 10 years. And they're just like, yeah, let's go for it.
Let me bring this back to Jacques Rougeau. Jacques Rougeau is The Miz and Jacques Rougeau is a great corollary to draw in that you never think, oh, fuck yeah, what's The Miz bringing to the table? There's a certain level of you live via the expectations you formed originally. For me, Jacques Rougeau will always just be one of the fabulous Rougeaus. The other tag team, like one half of the other tag team match in the early WrestleManias I rented on Sundays when I was a kid. And The Miz to the rest of the wrestling world will always be kind of shitty. Even though that main event was awesome, the whole Mizdow thing is probably the best part of the post, like that year after WrestleMania 30 was so fun. Like there's so many
Mizdow was
times
great. He does like he'll have like shoot promos every like, I'd say you can bounce on it, like bank on it. Every 2 years, The Miz does a shoot promo that goes viral because it's
phenomenal.
So good.
Yeah, it's
the
and
angle
it's
with his
thing.
dad was dope, but it's like he's The Miz at the end of the day, where it's like you can have a perfect babyface storyline. Same with Jacques Rougeau. But it's like when you look at Jacques Rougeau as an English person, you just see a French guy who's going to correct your grammar.
Dylan does. Dylan does. I'm fine with French people.
Cool.
Dylan is not fine.
Well, I'm not fine.
Anyway,
then he comes back. He retires, quote unquote, in 1994, and that means 2 years off before WCW gives him tons of fucking money, bitch.
For no reason. What? I don't even remember him being there. I don't remember him being there. I'm sure he did a bunch of
because they wanted to.
Just get every WWE talent they could.
No, they wanted to. They wanted to go into the fucking
French
Quebec
Canada.
in French Canada, and they wanted to have a presence in Canada to rival the WWE, and this leads to what you talked about before. Was this on the show or not, John? My
No,
memory's
this was
terrible.
this is a house show. This is a house show he put on where he beats Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
at the Bell Center in Montreal.
Great.
Fuck yeah! Like, and by the way, that he Hulk Hogan. Do you understand, Jacques?
Yes.
This is how Jacques Rougeau rules.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's really good stuff, man. Like,
But
here's
he's a perfect guy. Like 94. All right, wrestling business is down in 94, right? 100%
Yeah.
is down in 94. So when does wrestling heat back up again? 1996, and that's when he goes back into wrestling. They, of course, basically it's the Quebecers team, Rougeau and Ouellette. The Quebecers, they goes the amazing French Canadians. And 97, he beats Hogan, by the way. I don't know if Hogan was holding the title at that time, but anyway, he beat Hogan cleaner than Sting ever did, which is
Mwah.
pinned him
Well,
in the middle, and then, you guessed it, cuckolded him, middle of the ring.
He was probably tied. He's probably tanned. That's probably why they let him win. Because he had a
that's
tan.
true. He showed up with a tan. He showed up, no tan. Anyway, you're fucking done. Returned to WWF in 98, and he has another updated version of the Quebecers because let's get some money. And
the fuck
WCW 2000, he was in Team Canada for a hot minute and was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Team Canada and the Team Canada Misfits in Action feud. One of the many unsung highlights of late WCW, along with, of course, 3 Count and the Young Dragons and the Cruiserweight Tag Team Division.
And the West Texas Rednecks.
The West Texas Rednecks.
And we're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the fucking No Limit Soldiers and the Filthy
Animals. Well, no, we're going to be talking about the Filthy Animals because I don't. Conan wasn't in the No Limit Soldiers.
No, because that was the remnants of the No Limit Soldiers were in the Filthy Animals.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah, because in the Filthy Animals, like one of the leaders was Ray Ray. And then
Was Rey Mysterio? Was Rey Mysterio?
We're going to talk a lot about Conan, and I got some fucking thoughts. We're going to talk mostly about WCW 98 to 2000, and then.
Oh yes, we are only really talking. Oh, and also when Conan, for no reason, is in the Dungeon of Doom. My favorite weird transition. The Dungeon of Doom is no longer a mystical group of monsters. We're a street gang. Or do you have different members? Yeah, one. Fuck you.
Yeah, I really like that too. Yeah, we added Conan. Now we're a street gang. Anyway, Jacques Rougeau is spokesman for a suicide hotline, which is, he goes, if you're having negative thoughts and you want to do something drastic, don't do it. I mean, you're not going to be B. You'll never be B. I'm the best. Anyway, call the hotline if you're a weak-minded person. And then he...
Hello, why do you want to kill yourself? Sounds like a good reason to me.
I'd kill myself too if I didn't win the Intercontinental title from Roddy Piper.
Let me tell you about the time when I felt low. It was never, because I'm not you, bitch. Dylan, here's the best part of Raymond Rougeau, and I'm saying this quickly because I have to,
Jacques
and I mean
Rougeau.
this. Literally, I have to go straight from this to therapy.
Okay. Another bitch put in therapy.
Oh, I've been shot with your gun.
I'm Jacques. You're Raymond. Go for it.
I'm Raven?
Raymond. Raven. Raven Rougeau.
Yeah.
Quote
yeah.
the Raven. Poutine. You can use that.
No, I don't want to use it. You
Quote
can have
the Raven.
Best thing about Raymond
Cantors.
Rougeau is that he's definitely right now in Tampa Bay, Florida, just sending back a bloomin' onion going, hey, the Chipotle is not that good. Worst thing about him, not the world champion.
I mean, the best thing about him is that he played one company off the other and managed a 12-year career in major pro wrestling. And anytime he wasn't doing that, he was just making huge money in his hometown where he could be the star.
Wild.
And the worst thing about him is, I don't know, is there any, like, he maxed out what he could offer. He's the best. He got on a bunch of people's nerves.
Yeah, here's what you don't want to be.
Pedophiles, and they're good.
You don't want to be, don't date one of his kids, because then you'll have to hang out with this guy. He's going to say weird shit to you.
No, I would say this. I would bank on the fact that he has a trophy room and then he'll show you his garage where you betcha there's more fucking trophies in there. He just has a different name for it.
Yeah. And he definitely strikes me as the kind of guy who will show you the ice cream in the freezer that's just for him. That's for me.
Yeah. If he's also, if you're staying over with his any of his kids, daughter, son, whatever, that first night you stay over, he's gonna make a point to fuck his wife aloud, so you know he's got the dick in this fucking house.
Yeah. What's weird is that's a movie.
Oh, sorry about that. That's just what I bring. Normal.
It's a movie actually got from Dylan. If you go over to Dylan's house, no matter the time of day or the situation, Dylan is loudly fucking his wife. Just so you know the energy.
Sorry you
house.
interrupted me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's how he greets you at the door. Fully turge.
Sorry, I stay hard for round 2, which is about to start. Make it quick.
No, it's interesting. You always refer to it as a round poo.
Yeah, round poo. Well, one in the veg, one on the ass. That's what you do. That's what we got to do. That's what we're leaving on, guys. Thanks for joining Patreon. One in the puss, one in the pump. All right? That's what you do. All right?
Welcome to the rest of the review. Make sure to use all the holes.
There you go.
Dylan's a father.
How do you think I came that way? Round 1. Goodbye.